What about churches? Do you think they're relevant for today?
Churches have always been relevant, haven't they? Let's be honest. People need solace, different things in life, and that's where they go. That's where I go when I'm feeling down, I suppose.
It's there as God's, like, home, really, yeah.
Well, for people like myself, they are crucial in one's life for spiritual refreshment.
Do many of your friends go to church?
No,
Why do you think they don't go?
because they think it's boring.
I mean, generally speaking, people aren't interested in God, and therefore they're not interested in church itself.
If the church is the kind of PR arm of God, then it's doing a really bad job. I think it's totally out of touch with modern society and modern people.
We then walked round to Highbury Church, and the cleansing of the temple, it seemed wonderfully appropriate to do that in the courtyard outside a church building.
1 denarii, 2 denarii hot cross buns. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it, and it was challenging and it was exciting because the gospel was going out into the streets, and all those people in Cheltenham, a lot of them were hearing about the gospel, seeing the gospel for the first time, and having their views on Christianity and church challenged.
Who's going to make me offer for the pigeon? 10 denarii. 10 denarii over here. 15. 20 denarii over here for the pigeon. 20 denarii. 25.50. 10 denarii. Anybody? 15. 15 denarii. 20 denarii. 25. 35 denarii. Go on, it's a really nice. Would you like to have a look at 35 denarii?
My house was designated a house of prayer for all the nations. You have turned it into a den of thieves.
We're not thieves.
Well, get out! Get your things out of here! Stop turning my father's house into a supermarket! What are your credentials? Who are you to tell us what to do in the temple? Tear down this temple, and in 3 days I will put it back together. And it took 46 years to build this temple, and you are going to rebuild it in 3 days? I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, though they die, yet shall they live. And anyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Come to me.
Yeah, that was the first incident in the whole of the script whereby I realised that I had reason to bring Jesus, as it were, to public trial, and he was getting on my nerves.
You are indifferent to popular opinion. You do not bow down to the whims and fancies of your own students. Tell us once and for all, is it right to pay taxes to the government or not? Why are you playing games with me? Why are you trying to trap me? Do you have a coin? Let me see it. This engraving, who does it look like? And whose name is on it? The head of state. Then give to the state what is theirs. And give to God what is his.
I found myself up against the crowd as well, up against everyone who was there. And from that moment onwards, I was prepared to put Jesus to death.
Stay with me. Stay with me till the end. You won't be sorry. And you'll be saved. I am the world's light. No one who follows me stumbles around in the dark. I provide plenty of light to live by. So come, follow me.
Hosanna! 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 Hosanna!
We took up quite an area, and one lady, I remember, walked past and she got quite irritated that we were taking up so much space in the high street. And she just, a passing comment as she tried to struggle through the crowd, she says, oh, what are they doing? Fancy doing this play on a bank holiday, for goodness sake. And off she went. And it just sort of made me realise that really, you know, this is why it's important to deliver the Easter message, is because people aren't aware that it's Good Friday.
We came to the high street, outside the Burger King, for the Last Supper, and Christ gathered the disciples around.
It was the first time you were aware of other people vocalising their opinions. I mean, obviously they were clearly upset that we were performing there anyway. And here we were trying to perform, again, one of the most poignant pieces within the Passion story, the Last Supper, as Jesus shares this last meal with his disciples, his friends that have been with him through so much.
The people were getting upset and they couldn't push past with their wheelchairs. That gave quite a sort of legitimate picture, I felt, of what maybe it was like.
And everyone, there is trouble ahead if you think life is all fun and games. For there is suffering to be met. Listen carefully.
Another part of the scene was going on. We could see out of the corner of our eye Caiaphas and Annas and Joseph discussing about the need to capture this man Jesus and to hand him over and to execute him.
Of course, we were on the other side. We were the ones who were disturbed by this movement. We were those who were saying, we've got to put a stop to this, or else this is going to get completely out of hand. Here's a crowd getting out of hand. How are we to control things?
At this point, Judas slips away from the other disciples, and he enters into a deal. For 30 pieces of silver, he'll hand Christ over to the religious authorities. And by the time he's finished his transaction, he comes back. And Jesus says there's one more person's feet to wash. And it's Judas's feet. And Judas has his feet washed at that moment. A tremendously moving thought that here's Christ, knowing what's going to happen, yet washing the feet of Judas. Then comes the moment when he breaks the bread, and the first piece of bread is given to Judas. And Judas takes the bread, but then goes and joins the religious leaders and walks away, ready to betray Jesus.
Judas came out very surreptitiously, very guiltily in some ways, and made the arrangements with us. And we were just, as it were, on the side, and we quickly made arrangements with him that things should happen the following day.
I have done a number of passion plays before in Presbury, and I've seen how it affects other people playing Judas, and I felt that it was bound to have a profound effect, and it did. I would have felt bad had I been Peter playing Judas, but suddenly I was virtually Judas, and it was a very nasty feeling.
The Last Supper came to an end, and one of the special things that Jesus did in reality 2,000 years ago at that Last Supper was to share with his disciples comforting words to encourage and strengthen them, knowing full well that the very same night he was to be betrayed, and the very next day, in all likelihood, he was to go to his death.